Dr. Edgar Khan.
Hello. Thank you so much. It is a privilege to be here with you and to reach out all the way around the globe to be with you.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. When I introduced you to the audience, actually, I told them what you have done, what you have actually accomplished through this time bank movement. I think it actually gave us a more impact in this COVID-19 situation, and I think it's really important concept. And before we go to your session, I also want to introduce Dr. Son and Mrs. Yang here. Can you also say hello to our participants here? 여기 타임뱅크 코리아의 손 박사님과 손설학 대표님과 그다음에 양혜랑 간사님이 저희를 연결시켜 주셨거든요. 그래서 두 분을 다시 모셨습니다. 안녕하세요.
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 네, 잠깐 소개와 타임뱅크 코리아 소개가 언제부터 시작되었는지, 타임뱅크 활동을 어떻게 하고 계신지 짧게 소개 부탁드려도 될까요?
예, 반갑습니다. 저는 이제 그 타임뱅크 코리아가 만들어진 지는 2017년에 만들어졌고요. 이 타임뱅크 운동을 한국에서 좀 더 이제 확산을 시키고 전파하기 위해 가지고 법이 만들어졌습니다. 특히 이번에 이제 위즈덤 2.0 행사를 같이 하게 돼가지고 되게 좀 반갑게 생각하고요. 저도 이번 행사를 진행 과정 쭉 지켜보면서 참 감동스럽고 또 새로운 연결의 방식을 보면서 저도 굉장히 흥분되었습니다. 그래서 오늘 요 행사를 시작으로 해가지고 우리한테도 새로운 연결이 계속 이어지기를 그렇게 희망하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And can we actually ask Dr. Edgar Khan to share your wisdom for us?
Thank you. The inequality has increased, but we have what we need if we use what we have. To do that, we must value work that the market does not value, and we must value people that the market does not value. To do that, we will need another system because money does not value what it means to be a human being. We use price in the market to value what is scarce. Human beings are not scarce. So we devalue being a human being. But human beings have capacity that is untapped. And we have developed and worked with you to develop a kind of money that you earn doing things, being a human being. Yes, you can share the slide. To do this, we must discover a hidden economy, an economy that we all know. I call it the core economy because it underlies everything. Uh, 40% of productive work takes place in this different economy, this hidden economy. Estimates by economists say that it does 40% of productive work occurs outside the economy. The value of household work in the United States that is not registered as part of the GDP equals more than 25% of the gross domestic product. The value of it a few years ago was determined by the Rand Corporation to be over $500 billion. It has grown from 2002 to a few years to 500 billion. I want to tell you about this other economy and what it does. It delivers education, health, citizen engagement, caring, raising children, keeping communities safe, making democracy work. Nothing important, you understand. But that's the hidden economy. And you can deliver objects. You can deliver food or pizza or packages, but you cannot deliver education or health or democracy or citizen engagement unless you enlist the customer, the recipient, as your co-worker. They cannot just receive democracy. They cannot just receive health. They cannot just receive education. They actually have to do some work. It's work that we don't pay for and that we don't reward, and that I invented time banking to provide a way of rewarding it and recording it and enabling us to be rewarded and recognized for helping each other and building and renewing an economy that we all know is there but is invisible. We're not talking about just a program. When, as you know, on a computer, if you fix the program, it works. But if the underlying operating system is broken, if it doesn't function, if it doesn't have the memory, you can't fix it by buying another version of Word or WordPerfect or any of the other. You have to go into the operating system. And the operating system needs a different currency to revive it. And it involves two basic functions: learning and caring. Learning and caring. What we're going to look at now is what it's going to take to rebuild that economy, because that economy is suffering. And I call it the core economy that we are rebuilding. And we need, we need to find a way to rebuild the core economy, because if you liken it to a computer, we are rebuilding the underlying operating system. You can't fix the operating system just by adding a program. You have to go in there and build another economic system, because 40% of the work it takes to make the whole economy work takes place outside of the money economy. You may have heard of the things they do, like raise children and make democracy work and preserve the planet. And so we need a new operating system. And I call those each of the principles, each of the operating principles of that new operating system. These are the 5 operating principles that we need to implement. And I will explain each of the 5 principles. The first of the 5 operating principles is human beings and the capacity that they have. Even children can help. Even teenagers can help. Even the disabled can help. Even people who are returning actually from prison can help. Everybody has something that they can offer. Elderly particularly are an untapped capacity, but I will also say the children and teenagers are too. So the first principle is assets, that the real wealth of this society is its people. Every human being can be a builder. We're not talking about marketable skills. We're talking about the capacity to be a human being. And all of us who are alive and breathing have that capacity. And this is one sample of the kinds of things that human beings can do. They can help bring people to appointments. They can help with shopping and errands. They can help with filling out forms. They can help with budgeting. They can help with sewing and embroidery and dressmaking and woodworking and all kinds of other skills. They can help with cycling, repairing cycles. They can help with teaching reading. So there's a whole list of them, but you know them because you do them every day. And so we must begin to honor work that it takes, all the kinds of hidden work it takes to rear healthy children, to preserve families, to make neighborhoods safe, to care for the elderly, and to help make democracy work, and maybe even to help to preserve the planet and keep it sustainable given the pollution that we see. And the other thing we must do is we must remedy injustices. There are people who suffer from injustices, and we must find a way when a person is injured by an injustice, by being treated unfairly, we must find a remedy for that, and we must find a way to make democracy work better. The second principle is reciprocity. That's the third principle, reciprocity. We deliver a lot of services, but we do not ask the people whom we're helping to pay back. So we define them only as recipients, and that creates a dependency. Acts of helping must trigger reciprocity, giving back by helping another. So it's not you need me and I will help you. It's we need each other, and I don't need what you can do to build a better world because I can't do it alone if you don't provide reciprocity, if you don't pay it forward. The next principle is social capital. We need each other. We need not just to do what we do individually, we need to connect with each other. No man is an island, and informal support systems, we must build informal support systems and extended families and social networks held together by trust and reciprocity. And the fifth and last principle is respect.
Oh, no.
We need to respect everybody. We need networks of people who will help each other, and we need to find ways that when we give to somebody else, we need a system that that person can give back to help build community. And that becomes accountable so that nobody just takes, everybody's responsible both for receiving and giving. And time banking does that. It creates networks where people can learn about each other and can trust each other and can learn what a miracle it is to be a human being. We have what we need if we use what we have. So thank you. I will welcome questions, but I think that lays out the basic principles of what a new kind of money is and how it works and how it can connect and how it can unleash vast untapped resources.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Edgar. I'm actually waiting for questions from participants. 여러분 여기 그 이벤터스 저희 웨비나 들어가시면 저희 라이브 시청 그 2일차 라이브 시청 밑에 Q&A 2일차라고 되어 있는 여기 클릭하셔서 들어가시면 지금 에드거 칸 박사님에게 질문을 남기실 수 있습니다. 네, 질문 많이 부탁드릴게요. So meanwhile, I'm waiting for their questions on our chatting room. This is like online, offline, like a simultaneous event. So I'm waiting for their questions from online. So actually, what really inspired me when I heard Dr. Son's explanations about time bank, there was one antidote he actually gave me. Like he told me there was one woman, like suicidal, because she was paralyzed whole body many years ago after the accident, and she was just suicidal. But actually, no kind of social workers, counselors, they cannot really help her. But when she only was matched to the other woman who lost her son, and she also was a suicidal, and when those two got matched by this time bank network, they actually saved each other. I think that story was really inspiring. And do you have any like cases you want to share?
I did not explain that the time credit system values all hours equally. So 1 hour that a child does helping another child do homework is equal to what I get if I help somebody being a lawyer, or what a senior gets by helping another senior or helping a child. So that, because the most precious thing we have is our time on this planet. So one slice of eternity is what an hour is. It's a small slice, but it's the most precious thing we have.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I'm also wondering, like, during your whole like experience with people who are involved in time bank network, is there any like a stories, or is there any, person that you now remember that, oh yeah, I really remember this case, this story?
I can tell you this story. I invented time banking when I was in the hospital after a heart attack that blew away 60% of my heart, and they gave me 2 years to live. I invented time banking when I had only 2 years to live, and it's been my work in time banking. That was 1980. So 40 years later, that's what the 2 years became. Being useful, feeling that I mattered, that I could make a difference, was a source for me of healing and life. So that's a story I know very well.
Yeah, actually, that was really inspiring too when I heard that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Is there any questions from participants? Yeah, I think, actually, I have more questions while I'm still waiting for your questions. So,
In Chicago, I can tell you another story. In Chicago, more than 50% of the children who enter school do not graduate from high school. They drop out. By 3rd or 4th grade, they think they're a failure if they can't read, and they start dropping out, and then they start getting into trouble, and then they are truant. We instituted time banking in 27 schools in the worst, most disadvantaged neighborhoods. And everything changed. And over 75% of the children in 6 months gained back more than a year in terms of tests. Truancy just went way down. Fighting went way down. What teachers could do in terms of getting the students to learn in the classroom changed. And all of those schools that were on probation and due to close because they were failing, all of them are still operating.
wow. 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 So actually, I'm wondering, so like after those kids are graduated from the school, they are kind of willing to continue time banking?
Well, they went on to college or into the military or into jobs, and the systems where they were, but the neighborhoods in which they lived kept the time banking going. But they didn't bring the system into the military or into their workplaces.
Wow, that's actually great. I mean, but because of this COVID-19, actually, the government all around the world, they are actually trying to expand, like increase their expand on social welfare system, like by hiring more social workers, something like that. Because, I mean, this COVID-19 situation actually kind of revealed the really kind of dark spot of our social system. But I think there is a kind of limitation. We cannot really cover everything by putting more money, like right, like
Right.
allocating more resource there. So how do you think this time banking system can help this situation?
Well, all of the people who live in an apartment building or a housing development live right next to each other. And while we have to reduce physical distance, we must decrease social distance. The enemy we have, the real enemy, is social isolation. Nobody to talk to, nobody to express care for, nobody to help with our knowledge, nobody to help do shopping for people who are homebound, nobody to help children with their homework over the internet. So we have increased connectivity. Fortunately, this occurred when we had Zoom, because we would be in real trouble if we didn't have that connectivity. But we are blessed with the ability to have groups, to have one-on-one conversation, and we can help each other, because the real challenge is social isolation. When you have nobody for whom you can do anything, and nobody who can enable, and no way to make you feel that you're making a difference, that you're answering the question, why am I here on this planet? Why am I alive? Do I have a purpose? Can I make a difference? And time banking enables us to answer that question by saying, I can find a way to make a difference.
Thank you. Actually, I have some questions to you from our participants. I think I'm also curious about this. So I think she's giving the service to kind of like volunteer work for children who are raised by foreign family in Korea. So she or he teaches Korean to them. And now, as you said, like because of this COVID-19, everything happened only online. Like she actually teaches Korean online, but because of that, their participation actually is not really active. And because of that, I feel a little bit like skeptical about this work, and my confidence is getting low. What can I do when I actually want to stop volunteering or giving service to other people? How can I overcome this
You could find
fatigue?
If you can find a way that in helping that child to say to them, you can do something to pay back that matters to me. Can you help another? Can you visit a lonely person? Can you help dig up a garden? You would be paying me back by, I'm helping you. Would you help me make the world that you live in better? Can you teach some child to ride a bicycle? Can you help an elderly person by running errands? So that you must ask them, because otherwise they won't do anything. But if you can praise them and say, it would mean all the world to me if you thanked me by helping somebody else. And we can always find some way in which a child can do something for another child, for the elderly, for the neighborhood, for the gardens, and even people who are homebound. Would you watch out to make sure that no crime occurs in your neighborhood? Can you be part of a neighborhood watch to make sure it's safe for older people to go out at night? All you have to do is look out the window, but people will know that's dangerous because you will call the police immediately if you see something. We can all find ways to make a difference.
Thank you. And there's one more question. Thank you for your talk. It really inspired me. But I think governments and like big enterprises, they are aware of problems, but they want to ignore those problems for their own benefit. So as an individual, I feel like it's really difficult to live this like a word with my own value and with my calling. How can we actually can encourage ourselves to continue this kind of job without being lost?
So I have two answers to that. One is small plus small plus small plus small equals big. That's answer one. Answer two is when we see a problem that's big, citizens can create their own committee to expose the problem and to showcase solutions that work. We did that in Chicago when kids who were learning were dealing with gangs. And so we created what we called a Citizens Board of Inquiry. They weren't official, they weren't government officials, but they said, we will hold a hearing to tell our stories. And the media picked that up and exposed the problems. So by creating an event where people tell their stories, they become media stars, and then the politicians have to respond to all the stories in the media about the problems that they're supposed to be dealing with. So they can set in motion simply by telling their stories. And now with the internet, we have all kinds of ways that groups of people, by not coming together, can form a Zoom group, hold a hearing, publicize their findings, and say, do something, because and get all the individual stories to say, why is this continuing, and why are you letting it continue? So that's the second answer.
Thank you. Actually, what you just said, like I think it inspired really many participants here, because I certainly see those many questions that how I can start a time bank here and how we can actually let other people know about time bank. So can you actually give us some advice on there?
Well, you are blessed by the presence of Haran and Sorak, who have pioneered its founding, who have created a version of the software that can be used in Korea. And so you have a gift in somebody who saw this and said, I need to take this, I need to share this with my country. And they know as much as I do.
Thank you. It must be Dr. Son in the beginning, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have been champions and pioneers.
Okay.
Because it's a strange idea, and at first you feel all alone.
Yes. Thank you so much. And